Daniel Kaluuya and Kibwe Tavares have tried to make something very special by directing the movie titled The Kitchen. A somber tale of the bond between a boy and a man in a dystopian world adds so many colors to the palette that wouldn't have been possible in a simpler story. The story is set in London in a future where people have been displaced from their homes, but there is a community that refuses to leave their colony named The Kitchen. Its head is a man named Lord Kitchener, and Isaac, aka Easy, is one of the residents of this society. The Kitchen faces the brunt of the police, and they are somehow managing to make do with the very few resources they have to scrounge for. The government wants them gone and wants the ones who can afford the rent to live in the posh areas. Easy is also preparing to move out of the Kitchen to live in Buena Vida, one of the better places with a constant water supply. Easy starts saving up for the deposit on his one-room apartment by working for Life After Life, a company specializing in death care. Easy's life undergoes a change when the son of his now deceased ex-girlfriend finds him working for the company. The company Easy worked for named a plant after the recently deceased, planted it somewhere, and gave a month for the grievers to visit the plant. This was the temporary grave of the deceased. Tony Clark was now dead, and Benji, her 12-year-old son, had become an orphan. He had no one, but he noticed Easy paying close attention to Tony's plant. Benji had no one to take care of him, so he approached Easy. Easy declined and lied about having known Tony for just a little while and having no intention to take care of Benji. But Easy returned and took Benji with him to the Kitchen. Benji had just one possession with him, and that was his bicycle, which Tony had given him as a gift. Life in the Kitchen was very difficult. There was little to no water supply, and that wasn't even the worst thing. Lord Kitchener used to give speeches from the radio that played in everyone's rooms about how, if everyone in the colony showed solidarity, the government would have to bow down to their demands. There was a lot of violence, given the disparity of income in the Kitchen and other regions. The gangs operated from the lower floors of the Kitchen, while Kitchener occupied the highest floor. The housing society spread to a considerable area, and people had to look after their own. Benji walked into such an environment, and immediately he was taken under the wing of one such gang, which worried Easy, but he tried to play it cool, as he had maintained that there was little to no connection with Tony, and he wasn't Benji's father. Benji was surely testing Easy to see when he would show some care. His mother had told him about Easy, and he believed Easy was his real father. So Benji wanted his love and affection, but there was no direct way to ask for it. Even the gang members, Staples, Uzi, and Dirt, were surprised to see that Easy was being protective of Benji, the new kid on the block. But there was no commitment from Easy's side. Benji was getting restless as to how he would survive, and he asked him to let him stay with him indefinitely, which Easy had never promised. But seeing the young boy, his mind changed, and he planned to stall giving the deposit for his one-room apartment in Buena Vida and started to look for a double occupancy, which could cost him a lot. Meanwhile, the police raided the Kitchen and assaulted Lord Kitchener, and he didn't survive the police brutality. This started a chain of events that made Easy face his issues and do the right thing. Before the raid, Benji had quite a good relationship with Easy. The situation changed when Benji asked to move in with him. Easy had looked up the double occupancy, but procuring the money for the deposit was just too much of a task, and he would have had to let go of the single occupancy as well. Easy left Benji in the Kitchen and moved into his one-room apartment without notifying him. So he had basically abandoned Benji, the naive boy who was thinking that Easy was there to take care of him. After Lord Kitchener's death, the gangs planned to create total mayhem in the city. Benji, with no guidance from anybody, had only Staples to follow. He participated in the destruction of property in the city, and the gangs had made their point. But the repercussions were to follow. Easy was not able to get Benji out of his mind even after settling down in the new apartment. He found out about Lord Kitchener's death and sensed that things were going to fall apart in the Kitchen. Easy was well aware that after the stunt pulled off by Staples, the police were going to come in with vengeance, and he was correct. Easy returned to the kitchen out of a sense of responsibility and saved Benji from the police attack. He had never really done anything the little boy had asked him to do, but he did manage to get Tony's plant. During the end of the kitchen, Benji and Easy were trapped in their room, and the police were banging on the door. There was Staples and his gang, who had trapped a few officers and were planning to do the worst to them. The situation was dire, and all Benji could do was if Easy was his father, and there was a slight nod. But then Easy changed his statement and made it sound like he would take care of Benji as if he were his father, putting doubt back again if he were his father. That didn't really matter much, as the door was probably banged open, and they had to face the brunt of what Staples and the gangs had done. I think Easy was not sure that he was Benji's father, but he genuinely wanted to take care of him, and if they are alive, having survived the crushing blows of the police batons, they will stay together in the new apartment. The worst-case scenario would be Easy ending up dead, as he had attacked a police officer earlier to get through to his room, and they weren't going to let him go unscathed. In that case, Benji was again going to be left an orphan and would have to join a gang to survive. So that's the kitchen film summary and ending explained. I hope you liked this video. Please leave a comment and subscribe to this channel. See you in another video. Bye.